Hi guys, I apologise if I sound out of breath. I am just, let me get on with it. The first scene, when it opens up, the goat sticks his head out of the box, and in the other references that we've associated with this video, don't ignore them. But one more interpretation for this goat sticking his head out of the box is a message to the viewer telling us to think outside the box. The 666 on the goat's head is obviously the mark of the beast, obviously relates to the devil and Antichrist, but the numbers themselves, 6, 12, 18. Keep that in mind, because we're looking at February the 18th here. When we go into the classroom, thinking outside the box, as the message from the goat kind of conveys to us, I wanted to talk about this scene. If you turn the screen, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to. If you're using a desktop, you won't. I was using my iPad when I discovered this. If you turn the screen 90 degrees to the left, you'll see that if you ignore this line here and this line here, the actual drawing of the rocket and testicles actually make up L3. Why is L3 significant? For those of you that don't know, L3 is in reference to the lunar calendar, which is the lunar third. It falls in the Wuzhu year of the dog, which is also referenced in this video, and is on the 18th of February. Having the 666 be the 18 is clever in its veiled messaging. What is going to happen on the 18th? If anything is going to happen, what is going to happen? Well, it appears that something is going to happen in London. That's the fool me once part. We're focusing on the East Coast of America and the West Coast of America in terms of California, and those places aren't out of danger, so don't get me wrong in this interpretation of the video that I'm doing today. But the shark, if you notice, from the fin, if you follow the line up to where it stops here, the line gets thinner for the mouth, so it stops here, and you put the line in the middle here, that makes up the British pound coin symbol. From here, going down and around, and then the line through. It's on its side, but it's so clear to me now that it's the pound coin symbol. And in the middle of the shark's eye, there's an L written in there, which could stand for lunar, but I'm thinking if this is a pound coin and they've put an L in the middle of the pound coin, it's London that they're talking about. London on the lunar third, which is the 18th of February. Confirmation of this, the LC. So I've talked about the date that something may happen. I've talked about the location where something may happen. Now let's talk about the event itself. So the LC scene here is multi-layered. When I say multi-layered, I mean multi-layered. Scratched into the surface down here, which you can't see on this resolution, but I've done another video on it, which you may be able to find. That would make up the word la. The C would make up the word cumbre. We have a volcano on this apple here, which appears to be erupting with lava coming out of it, which then splits. And then as the scene moves on a little bit more, we're shown the V, which is on Obama's forehead, which could stand for 22, and I still think that has some relevance, but in this interpretation it stands for V, and I'm using it as volcano. So if we go back and we put those words together, La Cumbre Volcano. That is a volcano in Spain. It's on the La Palma Island. It's a La Palma Island in the Canary Islands, and there has been rumors, well not rumors, there's been news reports that the volcano will erupt sometime in the near future, and when it does, half of its flank will drop off and drop into the ocean, generating a tsunami hundreds of feet high, which will travel across the Atlantic Ocean to the east coast of America, but also radiating outwards in a circle. It will also affect the UK. That is only confirmed some more when you look at what this particular sea could be when you flip it upside down from Obama's perspective, 180 degrees. It looks like a tsunami wave. And then we have the X 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which makes up 15, but it's joined on to the C when it's this way around. So I'm interpreting that as add those two numbers together, 15 and 3, which is 18. That only has more confirmation when you think about the LC, if that stands for lunar calendar, or if the L is for lunar and the C stands for is represented as the third letter of the alphabet, which is 3, lunar third, that is the 18th. When the scene is evolving, you can see that when these roots join together, they make up the lotus flower, which is a representation of birth, regeneration, and death. And down here, an F appears in the shadow, made out of the roots coming out of the seeds, which is inside of the apple. That is saying to me, February the 18th, lunar 3rd, La Cumbre, Volcano, Britain, tsunami. And out of the tsunami, when you flip it around to Obama's perspective, you've got a shape here with a line across it that makes up the X, which could be a missile or a submarine. Now, I don't know if that's saying a submarine missile attack for London, or if a submarine missile attack happens at the same time as a tsunami happens in London, but definitely something to do with London. Just quickly taking a step back to the chalkboard scene, just to reiterate what I'm talking about here. Excuse me, just trying to get in the right point. Pound coin, shark fins, which if you ignore the rest of the shark, looks like it could be coming behind or out of a tsunami wave. The L in the middle of the eye, which could represent London. The shark's nose on the top of its head, making up the pound coin. The rocket, which is L3, February the 18th. So let's look for some more confirmation on that. If it is saying to us, lunar 3rd, February the 18th, London, tsunami or missile attack or both, or something happening at the same time as that's happening. London is also, or England is also, was also well known for hanging people. It was done all over the world, but particularly in England. When we come outside of the classroom, so we've got on the chalkboard, the message seems to be giving us something about London on this side, and on the other side of the chalkboard was in reference to Valentine's Day and things like that. And that was obviously yesterday, what happened with the school children, absolutely ridiculous. Even if it was a false flag, to have children involved in anything like that is, from my perspective, unacceptable, and something needs to be done about it. The Psalm 23, not only does it have the 23, which I think is still significant, but it has the L3 there again, which could make up 18. JK pointed out on the girl's dress in one of his previous videos, the 18, and I pointed out the F on the girl's dress. That could be February the 18th, the lunar 3rd. Again, another thing JK pointed out is when he was watching the video, on the clock tower itself, you can't see it in this resolution, so you might have to check out his video or look at it in high resolution. There's an 8 which is embossed, so it's not drawn in any color, it's just embossed into the face of the clock right next to the 12, which obviously, if you got the 8 next to it, could be interpreted as 18. This scene also has significance because it appears to be showing destruction with a potential tsunami wave. And if I'm associating the lunar 3rd, February the 18th, with London and a tsunami wave and possible submarine or missile attack, Big Ben is the most famous clock tower in the world. No one will dispute that. There's no other clock tower that's as famous as Big Ben. And Big Ben was stopped on the 21st of August at noon, so at 12 o'clock. This clock is frozen, it's covered in snow, and it's white. It's frozen at 12 o'clock. That is Big Ben. I have no doubts about that at all. That is Big Ben. The 8 that's here is the 18th. The L3 that's here is the 18th. Back into the classroom. The LC that's on, that is referencing the lunar 3rd, the 18th. The volcano erupting is significant because I received a report today where it says that the Canarian government convenes Pevolca meeting after another cluster of seismic tremors under Cumbre Vieja in La Palma, which is the Canary Islands in Spain. So this person writes, as I posted last October, Palma was experiencing a cluster of tens of seismic tremors registered under Cumbre Vieja, tens of them, yeah? All were small, the largest was Richter 2.7 and very deep. Nonetheless, the authorities increased monitoring and said that although such clusters are not commonplace, it was not beyond the range of normal for an active volcano. Now, there is another seismic cluster, again in the south, under Cumbre Vieja, but this time, nearly 100 tremors have been registered in just a few days, some 50 recorded in just a few hours last night. The Canarian government has therefore convened the Comité, this is in Spanish, so forgive me if you speak Spanish and I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Comité Científico de Evaluación y Seguimiento de... I'm not even going to finish it. We'll call it the PEVOCA. And they are meeting tomorrow, Friday the 16th, 2 days before this potential volcanic eruption generating a tsunami which affects the east coast of America and the UK. All of that is what I wanted to point out to you today. That is, for me, personally, I think that's more than enough confirmation. 3 separate scenes, following one after the other: chalkboard, LC, clock tower. The chalkboard referencing L3, February the 18th, the pound coin, London, something happening in terms of tsunami or missile. Then we get to the LC scene where we have lunar calendar, La Cumbre Volcano Vieja, lunar 3rd, the 18th, February, London again, tsunami, missile or submarine. And we get outside the clock tower, which has been pointed out already, but in this interpretation I just wanted to point it out as well, so it joins on to the rest. But you've got what looks like a massive tsunami with a shark in the middle of it, the shark's eye and the open mouth, which could be interpreted as a submarine in the tsunami. And even down here, we've got some circular patterns which could make up an 8 over here. There's probably a 1 somewhere in this scene as well, probably a little bit further when you zoom out a little bit more. I'm not even going to bother looking for it because I think there's enough confirmation here to say that February the 18th, the lunar 3rd, coming up in 3 days' time, there is a potential for the La Cumbre volcano to erupt and generate a tsunami, which would affect the east coast of the United States as well as London. Now, the tsunami would have to be massive to get into London. Big Ben is in the center of London, and this appears to have Big Ben frozen with the tsunami wave coming towards it. That is a huge tsunami. So, obviously I live in London, and I'm making these videos where London appears to be affected on the 18th, which is Sunday. You guys, I don't know how many videos, if this is a correct interpretation, let's just say if it is a correct, I know there is a lot of correlation, but there's never anything 100% until something happens. So if this video is a correct interpretation and the tsunami is due to go into effect from a volcanic eruption on the 18th, I don't know how many videos I'm going to be able to make between now and then. But what I would like you to do, which I haven't done before, is I would like you to share this video. I'd like you to spread the word that I am giving you now. Share it on your channel, mirror it, post it externally on websites, do whatever you need to do. But this is the first time I'm asking for something like this to be done, and it's only because I feel so strongly about it. I don't think there's any way to stop it, but to get the warning out there to people that if they hear any news of La Cumbre Vieja volcano erupting in the next couple of days, they should head away from the east coast and they should head as far north in England as they possibly can. That is my video. It's not intended to scare, it's intended to warn. It may not even come true, so there's that possibility. But the other day, we caught the Jesus on the back of George Bush's head. We referenced a gun and a shooting. We referenced Valentine's Day and the Valentine's Day massacre. And then something very similar to what we was talking about happened on the 14th. So I'm not taking any chances in getting this message out there. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And if I don't get to make any more videos, God bless and stay strong.